So for the record, today is August the 4th, 2024, Sunday. It's a few minutes after 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jonathan Jones. It's my pleasure, my privilege to be your host and moderator for the evening. This presentation comes from a couple of different angles. I'm the research director for the Healthcare Support Association of America, and I also work as a legacy health advocate for Engage Global. And the scientist who is behind many of the formulas that we right now promote and encourage is Dr. Kedar Prasad. And Dr. Prasad is a brilliant man. We'll tell you a little bit about him in a few moments. And we captured some of his expressions specifically as it relates to supporting someone who is dealing with cancer and cancer treatment, and something that can make a difference for them. So we captured his expressions, and we want to pass it on to you. So we're going to make sure that you have access to that. So I'm going to wind up interrupting this because at the point that I want to introduce Dr. Prasad, that's going to take me going to a different screen, but that's okay. We'll deal with that when we get there. Okay. So August is World Cancer Support Month. So didn't want to put that on the screen here, but you can Google it yourself and see that that is the case. And I told you what day it is also. But before we get started with this, we have to let you know that the FDA has not evaluated these comments that we're making today. You're going to hear some testimonials, and they're purely anecdotal. Results are atypical. That simply means that what happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Neither Healthcare Support Association of America, Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, nor any of the authorized representatives are making claims that any supplements recommended will treat or cure any disease state. Folks, this presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your doctor. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. And I've had people tell me, stop saying this. They tell us, why do you keep saying that this product is like this? And why do you keep saying that what happens to one person won't happen to another? And simply stated, it's the law. So only the federal government can declare something to be a treatment or cure for a disease state. So we have to tell you this stuff by law. All right, so just so you are aware. Basically, we're talking about, cancers, and cancer is still the second leading cause of death in the United States by far. And I'm just showing you a couple of slides here of different statistics that are taken from the CDC's website. And you're able to take a look at all of this yourself and just see how serious cancer is. The leading causes of preventable cancers is kind of, sobering that this is still a problem, that smoking is still up there in the top, the leading cause of preventable cancer. Now, I don't know about you, but just looking at this slide for 1 second, does it disturb you that obesity is number 2, is the second leading cause of preventable cancer in the United States, obesity? Yet everything that we are exposed to as far as food is concerned, the vast majority of it has some inflammatory component to it. Something that contributes to inflammation is something that works against us remaining lean and promotes excess body weight and encourages us to eat it. And you've seen a lot of the studies that indicate that. And down in the bottom of the list, they put poor diet, but it's also here in the top 2, 4, 6 leading causes, preventable reasons why persons get cancer. And in my personal opinion, there's others that belong there, and radiation is right behind alcohol and physical inactivity. In fact, they say today that not exercising is worse than being a diabetic smoker. So my recommendation, and I've heard Dr. Prasad say this many times, is please start becoming physically active, do something. Some people say, well, I can't walk 10,000 steps a day. Well, they've revised their thinking. They've done some studies now, and they said 7,000 is the new 10,000. So that's really only 3.5 miles. So if you can only walk, 1.5 miles in the morning and another 1.5 miles later in the day, you'll get your other half mile somewhere just going to the grocery store. And if you do shop someplace, instead of trying to find the closest parking spot, find the one furthest away and get those extra steps in. And you can put a free step tracker on your device. And I'm not encouraging the device because, as you can see, that's the fourth leading cause of preventable cancer is the radiation that we get from our devices. In fact, the World Health Organization says that cell phones may cause cancer. It's right there in the category. So there's all kinds of reasons why this happens. But the focus of this discussion today is not what causes cancer. We set it up with that because everybody needs to kind of know that there's things that we can do ourselves. Because I think it was Benjamin Franklin that said it, that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So if that's one way to support ourselves in this cancer world, is try to prevent getting it in the first place. And we've had a lot of discussions on that here on this channel on Sundays with Dr. Prasad. Dr. Prasad says two things are necessary in order for a person to get cancer. A tumor initiating agent must come in contact with a tumor promoting agent. Those two things must come together. And there's a whole list of tumor initiating agents and a whole list of cancer tumor promoting agents that exist in our body. Most of the tumor promoting agents already exist in our body. The tumor initiating agents, those are the things that we have some control over. They're associated with free radicals and oxidative stress and toxins that we consume in the water, air, food that we eat. Those things can initiate a tumor or cancer. Once they come together, that's what can cause the problem in our body, cancer, to grow. And it can take as much as 20 years for that process to take place. All we have to do is interrupt it someplace. And Dr. Prasad's high-dose antioxidant formulas is very good for interrupting that process. And that's the reason why we recommend staying on something like Microdaily, which is an antioxidant, very potent, powerful, effective antioxidant, because of its ability to interrupt the tumor initiating and tumor promoting process that coming together. But again, we're talking about world cancer support. So how do we improve the outcome? What can be done to support someone who's going through treatments for cancer? Well, the top 5 treatments for cancer is listed on the screen right now. Surgery, number 1, that's how they remove the cancer, the tumor from the person. And often you'll hear the doctors say, we think we got it all. And I spoke to an oncologist, and he described to me what I had never heard before, the consistency of what a tumor looks like, because he surgically removed them himself. He says the standard of care is we remove as much of the mass as we can, whatever we can see with the eyes. Now, everybody knows it's not what you can see with the eye that's the real problem. It's what's left behind. So he said what they do is they will often recommend radiation to follow, to kind of try to kill all the rest of the cancer cells that may have been left behind. And then often they will recommend chemotherapy. And a chemotherapy drug is designed to also kill the rest of the cancer cells that were not taken out when it was surgically removed. Number 1, number 2, number 3 on the list here. All 3 of those have harsh side effects, especially number 2 and number 3. They have side effects, serious side effects. We'll talk a little bit about those in a moment. And but the number 4, number 5 on the list, there have been some improvements when it comes to chemotherapy, and even with radiation, they have done a little bit of a better job with it. But some of the side effects that come from these treatments, this is where the support starts to step in. Okay, so you'll see this in just a moment. Nausea and vomiting. What can be done to support that, or to ameliorate that, or to mitigate the feeling that a person gets? Because this is often a standard outcome, a standard consequence of chemotherapy. Extreme fatigue. What can be done? Is there anything that can ameliorate this or to begin to neutralize it? Hair loss. Chemotherapy, radiation, both have been known to cause hair loss. Compromised immune system. Chemotherapy, radiation can weaken the immune system, making patients more susceptible to infections. Precautions and vaccinations are often recommended. That's the standard way of dealing with infections and a compromised immune system. Is there anything else that can be done to help to ameliorate that? What about what they call chemo brain? I still remember when my brother-in-law was being treated with chemotherapy for colorectal cancer. He was one of the first ones to talk about this chemo. I had never heard of it before, but he says it just leave you in a fog. And many of the persons who are dealing with it, even now, describe that they feel happy when the fog is finally lifted. They feel relieved when they get some clarity, because while they're going through it, they don't realize that they're going somewhat in slow motion and everything is foggy and they've got to think through everything. But once that cloud is lifted, they feel much better about it. So but again, what can we do to support this? I mean, you can take a snapshot of this screen, by the way, if you want to just have a good summary of all the different known side effects of chemotherapy. And probably some of this is radiation also, but known. These are all documented. There's nothing controversial about this. It's all you can Google it, and it will give you the list of these items that you see on the screen. What has made things a little bit better is they've improved the treatment now. They've come up with immunotherapies, and they're more targeted, and they selectively target cancer cells now. And over in Europe, they're touting a customized vaccine. So they identify the DNA of the cancer in you, and then they create a vaccination for that particular cancer, and they're claiming that there's been very successful with that. So mainstream medicine is making some real progress with that, but they did say that it could take quite a number of years before that becomes available to the average person. In fact, I believe that they're estimating the cost to be in the tens of thousands of dollars per shot. But let's talk about a man who's got he's got real aspirations. He's a visionary. He believes that there are things that can be done to support and get better results, so that person who is fighting cancer gets a great deal more support and being able to get through that. So it's appropriate that we're talking about this in the month of August. By the way, we're going to be talking about this every week for the entire month of August, because there's so many different components of this. And Dr. Prasad's research is quite extensive on this, and we're hoping to be able to bring to light a lot more of what he has done. But just look at this man's storied background. Now, one of the most common treatments for cancer, remember, was radiation. Well, Dr. Prasad was the world's first radiation biology PhD. Now, that right there gives you a clue that he's an expert when it comes to radiation. So he knows a little bit of something about that. His products have been awarded 10 patents on micronutrients. This man was supplied with more than $12 million by the U.S. Congress to do research for the military and NASA having to do with micronutrients and optimizing human health. In fact, that's what one of the patents says, optimal human health. When it comes to cancer, he's targeted in a couple different ways. He's the one who discovered that vitamin E succinate is an anti-cancer agent, and you know that happens to be one of the micronutrients that he puts in his product. He also is the scientist who discovered that butyric acid is an anti-cancer agent. That has to do with your gut, fermentation of fibers. So do you think that would be in his probiotic? You better believe. What causes that, what triggers that, what produces that is part of the formulation that he put in his probiotic. All things to help with ameliorating or helping the body to fight cancer. He was a professor of University of Colorado School of Medicine for more than 30 years. And he was also former president of International Society of Cancer and Nutrition. He was invited to be a member of the Royal Society of Medicine, London, UK. Also invited to be a member of the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee for candidates in the category of medicine. Dr. Prasad has authored or co-authored some 33 books. I think he's working on number 34 and number 35 as we speak. He's been published more than 250 times in peer-reviewed publications. I think that's really closer to 300 now. And at knocking on 90 years of age, this man is still cranking out fresh, brand new, novel work, which is pretty amazing. To this day, scientists still refer to his research when they produce new research. In fact, you can find more than 450 articles in PubMed. That's the official library of medical journals in the United States government, and 450 of them reference Dr. Prasad's work. This is just a picture of some of the books that Dr. Prasad has written. So what I'd like to share with you now is just a snapshot of Dr. Prasad describing his new research and the angle that he took in coming up with this new research and the way that it would support someone who is dealing with a cancer.
So now the question, like you mentioned, that this is a real challenge for oncologists. What to do with some of the side effects, Jonathan, that you mentioned, but also another side effect is the late effect of radiation. Those who survive cancer 5 years or more, that is also very important. And side effects will include development of a new cancer, occurrence of the primary tumor, reoccurrence of the primary tumor that you were treated with, and also necrosis of the muscle, for example, non-neoplastic diseases like that. So there is a lot of, side effects possibilities. So that not possibility established. And people, at one time, Dr. Bill Robinson, when I was in Denver, he was giving a lecture. And he said that, 100 years from now, when people will think about cancer treatment, they will think that we were stupid to treat cancer with the cancer-causing agents. So this is true. This is true. At that time, I never realized it, but I was saying that's probably true. But we don't have any other choice. So we have to do as best as we can what we have. And so, but there is no question radiation is cancer-causing, chemotherapy, cancer-causing agents. And but in any case, we have made some improvement in a 5-year survival rate. And so the question is there are two questions. How to improve the response that we are getting today, one. Second, what to do to reduce the toxicity during treatment. And some of the symptoms that you mentioned, Jonathan, is a classical side of acute, we call it acute side effect, and late side effect is different. But how to reduce for the time being, if you can reduce the acute effect, late effect would not happen.
Right.
Or at least markedly reduced. So the first goal is it. So the question is what we can do it. As you know that in this case, Linus Pauling, who was a 2 Nobel laureate, was the first to suggest that high dose of vitamin C can kill cancer cells and not affecting normal cells. So everybody at that time, I remember very well, he applied for a grant to NIH and NIH turned it down. And everybody criticized that he's senile and so on and so forth. But anyway, I thought that he can't be senile because he has won 2 Nobel Prizes. So I started working on vitamin C, and I found that the cell line that I was working was neuroblastoma, which is a childhood brain cancer.
Right.
And so neuroblast. So I said, okay, I will test vitamin C. So vitamin, sure enough, it killed cancer cell, and we have a normal fibroblast, normal cell in culture and in petri dishes. And so, but normal cell was not affected with the same dose that we were killing all neuroblastoma cell. So I said, that's so. Then I further went. I said, let us see what happens if I can combine with the chemotherapeutic agent. Most of them I use them, and also radiation. Indeed, we found that the lower dose of vitamin C, high dose still, will enhance the cell-killing effect of chemotherapy and radiation while protecting the normal tissue at the same time. And I published this work, and I think with the Proceeding of National Academy of Sciences, we call it PNAS, which is a highly prestigious journal, and it has to be a sponsor. So I think Linus Pauling is the one who had sponsored that paper. And so that was one. Then I wondered that what happens is vitamin C is one. How about vitamin E? So at that time, everybody was using vitamin E acetate. So I used vitamin E acetate, and so it has no effect on cancer cell. So I asked my wife, who was doing my technician at that time, she was working with me in my lab. I said, why don't you look what other types of vitamin E is available in the marketplace? And found out 3 or 4 different types. She ordered it. And one of them was vitamin E succinate.
Wow.
I all tested everybody, but vitamin E succinate in melanoma cell, which is very tough to treat, as you know, it becomes like a normal melanocytes and inhibited it. And then again, same thing I did, combined with the radiation, combined with chemotherapy, did the same thing, enhanced the effect of cell-killing effect of chemotherapy and radiation on a cancer cell, but not normal cell. And so that this paper we published all these things going on, but I never understood it, why it is happening mechanistically. Why?
But that's huge, Dr. Prasad, that you found it, because other scientists have built off that now. Hundreds of papers have been published since then.
Something has been confirmed by many other people. So it is not just my work. My work has been confirmed even in animal model, not only in cell culture model, but even in animal model. So that's
incredible.
But what was for a while bothering me was that how can I explain it? It is not happening because antioxidant is a free radical scavenger. So it has nothing to do with free radical, this high dose, because, it is enhancing the effect. And then I said, how about this occurred to my mind, that does cancer cell require some specific nutrient for survival and growth? So I looked the literature. I found out, sure, cancer cell requires excessive amount of glucose because they have inefficient system of producing. That's the picture of Linus Pauling with Che, my son, and Judy.
Yes. That's history.
Yeah, but so in any case, so it was. So I found out that the cell requires glucose and glutamine. Without that, they will die of starvation. No energy and no vital molecules. Glutamine is very important to make vital molecules for your survival, like RNA, DNA, and many other things. Very important. And so then I said, maybe it is possible that high dose antioxidant have nothing to do free radical scavenging or destruction of free radical. It blocks the uptake of glucose and glutamine, and so cell die of starvation and lack of energy. And so then I said, when I started doing research on this issue, I found out, sure enough, high dose antioxidants blocks the uptake of glucose and metabolism of in a cancer cell, but not in normal cell. Normal cells don't get affected. And so then I said, well, okay, I got it now. So then I started doing it, and
you got it all right.
Patent and so on and so forth. So right now, so what we are doing right now for the time being, until I find my investor for my formulation, that we have microdaily hydro, for example, and we suggest that if you increase 3 times preventive dose, means suppose if you are taking hydro 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening, that would be considered a high doses of antioxidant, because a preventive dose has about 1,500 milligram of a vitamin C, and if you multiply by it, it will be close to 5 grams.
Yes.
And the minimum amount that we think, it can go 4 depending upon what kind of cancer it is. And so, but in the beginning, I think a 3 is good enough to start it, but it can go 4 times too.
Well, and we actually have some information or some examples that substantiate what you're saying, Dr. Prasad.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of folks here right now that are on this program that are hearing what you said for the first time, that this high antioxidant thing stuffing or plugging the mouth of the cancer cells is incredible. That's incredibly important. But do you mind if we share maybe 2 testimonials that
sure.
Actually support that? And then we're going to want to hear about your formula, your recommendation as to why it is that Micro Daily and the Core 4, are beneficial approaches to this as well. So
yes.
I think that would be very good. So Beth has, I just need to warn everybody, we're going to be showing an actual image of a human face here that's been infected by cancer. So if anyone is uncomfortable with that, now would be the time for you to maybe step away from your screen if you don't want to see this case. So just to let you know, but again, remember folks, testimonials are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Beth, are you with us now? Let's see, we have to can somebody give Beth the ability to invite Beth? There she is.
I'm here.
All right, Beth. So you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with this client?
So in August, around August 2nd, his wife came to me. She had just learned about this product.
August 2nd, this year, 2023.
Yes, so there was no time for them to get shipments. So she came and picked up product at the house, and he was going to get treatment. He was going to get 33 rounds of radiation. It was under his eye. So I told them to take the 12 capsules twice a day, along with the omega-3 probiotic, and to do digestive enzymes before his meals, and do a couple packs of hydro during the day. And he faithfully did this. He did it every single day. He had his last treatment September 26th, around there. And we physically saw him when we had our Super Saturday in Charlotte. And the pictures that you have, I took a picture close up of his face. You can't even see the scar. So that was within 90 days of 33 rounds of radiation, plus doing the protocol that was given to him that I told him and his wife to do. But the biggest thing that he did, he listened, he did it, and he got the results. And I guess you're getting ready to show it. Yeah.
Was he taking the protocol during treatment as well?
He started it right when he started treatment.
First treatment.
That's when they got it. So
Yeah.
he wasn't doing it way ahead of time. He just learned of the product.
Sure.
They started maybe 2 days before he started treatment. He had 33 rounds of radiation.
That's amazing.
Within what is it, about 8 weeks maybe? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, he had no downtime. He was not sick at all, and his energy never left him.
See, that's what the experimental data I was talking to you, at least in one example here, is confirmed. That if you take during the time, you get a maximum benefit of both. You have cancer, you don't have side effects. You can see that he has still all the hair, that he has beard and everything else, never lost one. And as you mentioned, Jonathan, that during treatment, almost everybody loses hair. Temporarily, but it loses hair. But in this case, you can see that high dose of antioxidant not only enhances the effect of radiation, but also protect the normal tissue. And in this case, he's also trying to heal it faster once they get damaged.
And to give him a shout out, because he is a Marine, he's in the military, and he's also gone through a blood disorder for many, many years. So this is just amazing. And he is 72 years old. So he kind of had all the odds against him, but, he believes in the Lord. And then also, he has this. So, hey, what can we say? Thank you, Dr. Prasad. From them to us, we really appreciate your work and your lifetime commitment to helping so many people out here.
That's great. And
My
see,
goodness. This doesn't surprise you.
See, this is very important, that even though he has started rather the same day or, that he was getting radiation therapy, what in my patent we have said that you start 7 days before you get the radiation and chemotherapy. So by the time it comes, most of the cancer cell is already dead. Many cancer cells, because cancer cell would be selectively getting killed. Now, when you come to radiation therapy, then some more will be killed while your normal cell is being protected, and then continue at least a month after the therapy, so that there is no residual things going on. and then gradually reduce to a preventive dose.
So I have a question. I
Sure.
don't mean to take over the show, but
No, go ahead,
so
please,
what
ma'am.
if what if somebody is, say they've already done their rounds of radiation, they've already done their rounds of chemotherapy, and they were to start on this, like myself, I was poisoned by radiation, but I didn't get your product till over a decade after it.
Yeah.
So it's still going to restore the damaged tissues
Yes.
that's been caused by poison, correct?
Yeah. So no, but in that scenario, suppose if somebody has a cancer-free, survive 5-year survival, and then they have risk of a late effect. And that time, I would say taking it twice a dose would be sufficient to prevent the potential late effect of the radiation or chemotherapy or whatever cancer treatment you had.
And then also too, that people have to understand, you can't come off that high protocol like that and go down to just a minimum overnight. You got to
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying.
down.
Very gradually, at least,
Yeah.
Like reduce one capsule per week or per 2 weeks, then, gradually within a month, you gradually goes down to when you do. If you do suddenly, that your body is used to high dose, and if you suddenly stop it, then you feel body feels that you are deficient. The body is deficient of micronutrient, and then you don't feel comfortable. So it is very important, Beth, you mentioned that it is important to, once you try to do it after say month or 2 months, that make sure that it is cancer free, and then you gradually remove, very gradually.
So right now he's about at 10 twice a day. And he's going down slow, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And this is not a miracle, y'all. This is science. This is chemistry that the body needed. All it is supporting the body so the body can do what it needs to do through the treatments.
Exactly. That's exactly the case. And while the chemotherapy and doing their job, but the potential side effect, normal cell is protected, but cancer cell is dying by different mechanism, has nothing to do with free radicals. Because chemotherapy and radiation, most of their effects is mediated by free radicals. They produce a lot of free radicals. And so and that's why it damages both chemotherapy and radiation damages both cancer cell and normal cell, because free radical cannot distinguish it. But in high dose antioxidant has nothing to do with free radicals. They bypass it. And so then because it blocks the glucose and glutamine, and therefore they die of starvation. And so this is very important to remember that this is the difference. So even though sometimes tumor become resistant to all therapy. Why? Because tumor cells later on expresses very high level of what is called NRF2. And NRF2, as you know, activation is very important to produce antioxidant enzymes. And when they produce antioxidant enzyme, one of the enzymes is glutathione peroxidase, which makes glutathione up. And if glutathione up, they become resistant to chemotherapy and radiation because they produce most of their damage by free radicals. But in case of high dose antioxidant, it has nothing to do with free radical. They kill tumor cell by different mechanism. So for high dose antioxidant, makes no difference whether it's a tumor sensitive or tumor resistant, they will still die because they will need glucose, they will need glutamine.
Wow, that's incredible, Dr. Prasad. So, I mean, what you're saying here that is clearly you're not surprised at all.
No.
See this kind
This
of
is
thing.
what I predicted. This is what I predicted, but sometimes prediction is not always right.
Wow,
Nice
that's
to
incredible.
see that it is true not only in the animal model or cell culture model, but is also true in a human model. And at least in my two experience, anecdotal story is from Denver. One was the patient of fourth stage pancreatic cancer, and even fourth stage, very advanced. Doctor said that Dr. Shafroth, you have 3 months to go. So out of desperation, he sent somebody to my lab, and I talked to him. And at that time, I had no product. So I had suggested him individually high-dose antioxidant, and they followed. I guess when you are desperate, he followed it, and he lived he was a lawyer. With a law practice, he lived great quality of life for 3 years, attended marriage ceremony, and when he died, he told his wife that any flower or nobody sent to, and whatever money they spent in my funeral, they should donate to Dr. Prasad Laboratory. And at that time, I got about, I don't know, $25,000 or $30,000, and I established a Shafrat Memorial Fund at the university, and his wife continued to support every year $5,000-$10,000 for my research. And so that's one. Second was she has a breast cancer, and she was editor-in-chief of Boulder Camera. This was a local newspaper. And again, at that time, I did not develop any formulation. But I was knowledgeable that high-dose antioxidant is working in experiment. So I again suggested him, and she got tumor-free. And when I actually developed some kind of formulation, as you know, Scientific Nutrition was my first company, ran from the garage. And she wrote a whole big articles and put my name all over the country. So overnight, we developed a couple of thousand customers. Not overnight, but in a couple of weeks.
Well, that's incredible.
So those are my experience of anecdotal story. But at that time, I never thought a great deal about it.
I know. Well, we're glad that you started that way. We have one more that we want to share.
Sure.
Especially because we have 270 connections on this media now that probably have never heard someone else also had a very similar outcome. It was not just with either radiation and something surfaced, but this woman, Iris, was being slammed with all kinds of chemotherapy and radiation. So we'd like to hear your comments on that one too. So Jeff, do you have that one? I think I've got it, but if you've got it, I think it will be
I do, Jonathan.
All right,
and
great.
in fact, let me just pull myself up here. In fact, if I can, I'd like to share too, because Iris, we just met with her when we were in Albany, Georgia, about 3 weeks ago. Amazing journey, but this is just right after her experience, this first one. And then I have one more that I would like to share, that somebody that they were so compromised that they couldn't continue the protocol. Their body would not handle the chemotherapy. And so, yeah, let me just share Iris here first, and then we'll go to Susie. So here we go with
Excellent.
Iris.
Most of you know that I did have cancer. I think it was 2018. And I met I've been knowing Miss Dolores for a long time. But then, she had introduced me to the microdaily. So with God in prayer and Miss Levette, I decided that I would go ahead on and take the microdailies. And I did it before I had surgery. So I needed to get it in my system. So once I got it into my system, when I had my surgery, I did not have any pain. I did good. Then after that, I did 8 rounds of chemo. And chemo it's poison. It's a lot of poison that's going inside. Okay, didn't get sick one day because I was constantly taking my microdaily, constantly. Then I did 33 rounds of radiation. Didn't get sick, didn't hurt. So now I'm on this thing called tamoxifen. It's the pills after cancer, and one of the side effects is the bones. I should be aching all over. But because, God has prepared me along with Ms. Levette to be great, of course, he allowed me to not have any pain whatsoever. And I go around, I talk to my clients about, a lot of them have blood pressure problems, all of these different problems. I'm like, you know what? I had cancer. And this microdaily, it attacked that cancer. And I tell you, I'm just grateful. And that's my testimony.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's the exact.
Jonathan, I just like how confident she is in her experience.
Yes.
And, 4 years later, we just met with her again in Albany, and to talk about awesomeness. So this next one, just really quickly, I'm going to share Susie with you. And Priscilla's actually on this call. We reached out to her and said, this is going to be happening. And so Priscilla, who Susie is so appreciative for, is here. And I want people to understand that this gave Susie hope. And she explains that. So here we go.
Hi there. My name is Susie Reynolds, and I want to share with all of you my condition that I was diagnosed with. I had cancer, and I was diagnosed in October of 2020 with cancer. I had a stage 4 gynecological cancer. I had a spot on my liver, a spot on my spleen, and a spot where my gallbladder used to be. So I decided to try the chemotherapy, and I had 4 appointments and only 2 sessions of the chemo because my labs are so low that they wouldn't do the chemotherapy. So something told me, and this was like November I was diagnosed, and then December and January, and in February there was something that spoke to me about I needed to come see Priscilla, and I had met her in 2019, and there was just this gravitational pull to her office. And so February 5th, I came to see her of 2021, and Priscilla is guided by God. We prayed together on February 5th. We prayed, and she put me on Micro Daily, which I'm continuing to take. I love it. And I want to thank Dr. Prasad for his supplements that he's made. I think it's wonderful. And thank Priscilla for having these nutritional things that I'm using. So I'm using the Micro Daily Original. I'm using the Brain Boost, and I'm also taking the Eye Boost. I've changed my diet and all of that. And I can't tell you, and I've quit drinking alcohol, and I can't tell you how wonderful I feel through all of this. And in 1 month, my oncologist had told me that my numbers were 900 plus. And in 1 month, after seeing Priscilla and continuing to work with her, in 1 month, I'm down to 135. Now, I'm not out of the woods yet, but people that have no cancer have numbers of 35. And that's where I know I'm going to be. In 1 month, only 1 month, with all this therapy, the Micro Daily, all the nutritional supplements that she has me taking, in 1 month, I have gone down that much. And my cancer is nearly gone. I have hope, and I have faith that I am going to be just fine. I get goose chills just thinking about it.
Well, I'm going to break in right here, folks. I just find this quite fascinating. It's pretty amazing to contemplate. And again, we're going to be doing some more discussions on this as the month of August progresses. As I mentioned, because that's where we are. Where the month of August is World Cancer Support Month. But I want to just point out a couple of things that we all you should have noted while that those while it was playing. Here's a PowerPoint. There it is. While that was playing, in each of those presentations, each one of those testimonials that we heard, we were listening to people describing the side effects of the treatments that they were getting, and then how Dr. Prasad's formulas either neutralized or took the edge off of the side effects. They were all talking about how they weren't experiencing the nausea or the sickness or the fatigue or the hair loss, brittle bone, the bone pain. And in the last one, for someone's psyche to change from despair to confidence and hope, that's priceless. You just can't even put a price tag on that. So we are staring at the genius of a scientist who's put something in place that offers the greatest amount of support you could possibly get. Now, later in the month, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the value of emotional support and everything else, but we will be discussing all of that. Let me just at least give you guys some idea, finish through our presentation. And keep in mind that testimonies are anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. And what you're hearing is not intended to be a substitute for visit to your primary healthcare physician. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. None of our comments have been evaluated by the FDA. Okay, testimonials are anecdotal. And this is another case. We'll tell you more about this one again, but that was a melanoma that this woman had on her foot and cleared up in about 2 weeks' time. You heard this story yourself that Beth related to us, and you just heard Iris tell her own story. I don't have to tell you that. That was just absolutely amazing. And this is a summary of Dr. Prasad's research, and this is groundbreaking, earth-shattering research. We're talking about cancer cells requiring two things, glucose and glutamine, in order to survive. And now he said the cancer cells die. But the politically neutral statement here is deprive cancer cells of these two things, and they cannot continue to advance. And that's the official statement. And did you notice what he said? He said, if you start taking the microdaily 2 weeks ahead of time, before the radiation and before the chemo, he says many of the cancer cells die, and then the chemo and radiation continues to kill even more cancer cells. Now, again, I'm just quoting him. And this is a scientist who's talking from a scientific perspective, because we can't claim that microdaily or anything else, because I think he was only talking about, did he mention microdaily specifically? He probably did, but high dose antioxidant is what the expression correctly would be. Take that in advance, and then the treatment is better. The results are better. That's the whole point of this, because the treatments that conventional medicine offers is based on, as Dr. Prasad said, free radicals. Okay, it's a free radical approach to killing the cancer cells. The problem is that cancer cells are so high in glutathione, which is an antioxidant, a master antioxidant, that often the chemotherapy and the radiation, it becomes ineffective, he said. So the tumor and the cancer cells become resistant to the chemo and the radiation. That's why, because it becomes so powerful, so high in glutathione. But with high dose antioxidant, it doesn't matter. They can be resistant all they want. They still got to eat. And that's his approach. Okay? That's important to remember. Now, he talks about the importance of making sure the microbiome in the gut is correct while going through this whole process too. Extremely important, especially remember, because we're talking about nausea as one of the side effects. Okay? That's what the last sentence you see him say there. Probiotics would restore balance in favor of beneficial bacteria in the gut. In cancer patients, the balance becomes in favor of harmful bacteria, which produces toxic chemicals. So you've got to do something to put that back in balance. This is an example of a product with high dose antioxidants. And 3 of these triple the normal dose. Even if it's the bottle, just triple the normal dose. If it's the hydro, triple the normal dose. Twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day is what many have found to be effective. And this is the probiotic formula that Dr. Prasad put together. And the specific strains of this bacteria produces the butyric acid that we talked about at the beginning, that Dr. Prasad is credited with discovering is an anti-cancer agent. So that's built into this formula. Omega-3 daily, very important, also good for circulation. Collagen daily is not recommended for someone who has active tumors. So Dr. Prasad does not recommend collagen daily be taken for someone who is fighting active tumors. But once that's passed, then the collagen helps to rebuild cartilage, helps support skin, helps support the hair, helps support the brain, helps support everything in the body. Okay? very important. Okay. And I saw a note there about there being a black strip across the screen. That's this whole Zoom thing. Zoom is really creating a little bit of a problem for me. I can't make it stay away. So it puts that, even when I tell it to hide that bar, the control bar, it keeps bringing it back up. So sorry about that. All right. So the Core 4 is the basic recommended protocol. That's the best buy that this company offers. Hide floating meeting controls. There we go. Let's try that. The digestive boost, also important for those who have any kind of illness. The brain boost. You heard one of them mention that. I think it was Iris that mentioned that she was taking the brain boost, and I also believe was her name Cheryl at the end. She also mentioned she was taking brain boost. This one I think is my favorite because still because of anxiety and other reasons, people with cancer fighting cancer have difficulty sleeping. So this definitely will be a major plus for someone in that situation, along with the CBD boost. Great for anxiety, great for improving sleep. I'm not fighting cancer, but I take 3 of the sleep boosts at night and 2 of these CBD, and that's getting me my 7 to 8 hours of sleep consistently. When I don't take it, I gradually go back to that old time that I was waking up around 4 o'clock in the morning for some reason, wide awake and just ready to go to work. But not when I take the sleep boost and the CBD. So World Cancer Support Month, if you do decide to buy the Core 4, if you do, remember, just keep the collagen for later. You'll need it later. And I just keep it in your refrigerator so it stays fresh. And I use it after your doctor declares you cancer free. If you would take all the ingredients on these products and try to purchase them, it would be more than $1,000. But if you try to purchase these items individually, the retail cost would be $310. But Engage Global has subsidized our health so that you can subscribe to them and get it cheaper than I could even purchase it for, $199.99. So that's the best way to buy this, is in the Core 4 bundle. And this month, during World Cancer Support Month, you get the sleep boost for free. So just when you order the Core 4 bundle, you have to do this over the phone as a preferred customer. I think and even the affiliate who invited you to this presentation can call this order in, and the company will add in a sleep boost for free. Remember, keep the collagen daily for later until after your doctor has declared you cancer free. And for those who are on a budget, this is the very minimum Dr. Prasad recommends, is these 2 items here: Micro Daily, EMF, and the Probiotic Daily. But you still want to go triple the dose. That's the whole point of this, is triple the normal dose. Okay. So these are the bundles, and you buying them in the bundle is cheaper than you could buy them from any affiliate or distributor with the company. Just get back with the person who invited you to this discussion, and they will help you to put together your order. So next week, I spoke to Dr. Prasad today. He was at JFK. He's right at the airport. He called me to tell me that he wasn't going to be able to make it, but he says, I will be there next week. He knows that this month is Cancer Support Awareness Month, World Cancer Support Awareness Month. So instead of having a date there, you see we struck out, we crossed out the number 4 there. It's August 2024. That's what our subject matter is going to be for the rest of this month. So every week we'll be talking about this. And I remember that last testimony we heard there, having that emotional component to it. Hope and optimism is so critically important when it comes to individuals who are fighting cancer. Negativity and anger, family support, but we'll go into some specifics about that as we get into the month and talk more and more about support and how individuals, families can be supportive of those who are fighting cancer. Okay, Bernard, did I see a question in the
yes, it mentioned about a person that's undergoing hormone therapy after cancer removal. What do you recommend?
Okay, hormone replacement therapy after cancer treatment. It doesn't matter what kind of therapy or cancer of treatment that the person is getting. The Core 4 is beneficial. The Core 4 is the way to go, and that's the reason why Dr. Prasad has indicated that there's no contraindications with any known medication. And even if a person is getting hormone replacement therapy, it'll just be more effective if they're taking microdaily. All microdaily and all these micronutrients is the food that's missing from our food. So this is what if we were getting proper nutrition, we wouldn't have to worry about taking microdaily or any other supplements for that matter. We would all be just fine. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So as a minimum, highly recommend the Core 4 for anyone doing that. Okay. All right. But thank you, Bernard. Thank you for bringing that one in for us. All right, folks. So next week, be back again. Dr. Prasad has assured us that he's going to be joining us.